and welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with only Mayor Joe today. Had a last minute cancellation from Rainbow Reynoldsburg. Sometimes things happen, so we're going to kind of go ahead and just talk a little bit about that and then jump into a lot of other topics, some cool things going on. So first of all, Pride is going to be next weekend. That's the 28th, and it's going to be from 4 to 8 p.m. A lot of cool things are going on. There's over 35 vendors. There's going to probably be some food trucks, and then probably one of the highlights is the Strut Your Fluff Pet Parade. So it's going to be a lot of fun there. All sorts of cool decorations going on. As you know, this is our 4th year of Pride, and so we're going to have that again. Not on the same weekend that actual Pride was, which was last weekend down in Columbus. So we're looking forward to a big time there. It's a wonderful opportunity, very family friendly all the way throughout. And if you can make it, yay. And if you can't, then we'll catch you next year. So other than that, just keep in tune with our Facebook page and social media, and we'll give you some updates on anything else that is popping up with that one. I did want to take a couple of things to talk about some stuff going on in the world today. Obviously, we've seen the issues with the assassination of 2 state representatives out in Minnesota. We know what's going on between Israel and Iran. And then we've had a rash of shootings in Columbus. As a matter of fact, my former high school that I used to teach at, one of their students was an innocent bystander and lost his life in a recent shooting. And we've had a couple of shootings, though no deaths, but we've had shootings in the general Reynoldsburg area as well. And so these are things that we have to kind of like take a moment and pause and reflect. What kind of world do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a world where this is a common, frequent occurrence, or do we want to live in a world where this is a much more isolated incident? And every one of us has a role to play in that. From those of us that post on social media, whether it's nice comments or not so nice comments, to whether it's what we talk about with friends and family and what we allow to be said by other people. These are things that are in there because all of this stuff can affect us. As far as the politicians aspect of the assassinations there, same even with the attempted assassination attempt on President Trump. That has no place in our society. That is not what democracy is about. We will bore you to death with talking politics, but not necessarily assassinate or shoot someone. There have been plenty of people that have been wanting to debate and talk about anything going on with the city with me. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about a few of those examples later on. But that's what we do. And then we go to the ballot box and then we make our choices at that location. Same thing when it comes to conflicts that happen between other nations that we may or may not get involved in. They are significantly more complex than anything I'm ever going to address on this show. But they do have real-world impacts on us. As for Columbus, as I've mentioned a couple of times before, the number of guns in our society are pretty outrageous, and the access that people have to them is even more so, especially when you consider a recent NBC News piece that going back to 2022, there were over 900 guns reported as stolen from the city of Columbus alone. I did look back at us, and we don't have that many. It's around 20 some odd, 25 over the last couple of years. But in my opinion, one is too many. And we do get a number of them throughout the year where people leave them in their car. They leave them underneath the driver's seat, or they're in the little position in between the driver's seat and the dashboard. And when people come around and they're looking for whatever it is they're looking for, they go for the first place is right underneath the seat. And so if you are a responsible gun owner, please take care of it, because the last thing you want is your gun stolen, because those things aren't cheap. And then at the same time, that gun could then be used to commit any number of other crimes. But we have to make the decision what kind of world we want to live in that. And speaking of the world that we live in, this week, the House is debating a number of different things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the state budget. We've done that before. But one big bill came up that could be into the budget that's going to affect everybody who's watching. So if you're watching right now, this will impact you. It's called House Bill 335. It's about property taxes. Basically, every community has what is called a millage floor of 20 mills. So cities, school districts, townships, things like that, they can have 20 mills of what they call inside millage, which is pretty consistent. It helps stabilize a budget all the way throughout. And those are things that are there automatically, that have been there since, before the 70s with some of the changes. And so this is how cities and municipalities, townships, and all that operate, is they know that this is, no matter what, they're getting this much. If they've had other levies, that will provide additional funding, but no matter what, this is what they're getting. And there's a proposal in there that could easily take all of that away. And that sounds wonderful if you're a homeowner and you're worried about your property taxes going up. There was a comment on social media earlier today that I saw that the Councilman Lou Salvati had mentioned. The problem is what's going to happen is this. It's going to impact different entities differently. So for Reynoldsburg City Schools, they will lose like that $7.9 million in funding. So if you remember when we talked about the district having to cut $8.5 million, they got rid of a lot of things that they could that were not related to students and still had to cut 51 teachers. According to the superintendent's office, when we had a discussion, this could, if that happens, this could impact and require the reduction of anywhere from 75 to 100 additional teachers just because of that particular part of funding. And that's something the school district has no idea how much longer they have to implement it. It could be as soon as January 1, 2026. It could be as soon as 90 days past the signature. The city would lose about $880,000. And the state's response when these two things happen are, well, cities can pass and school districts can pass other issues. They can pass an income tax addition, or they could put another levy on specific to regaining those lost mills, which means that then it's up to the voters whether or not it happens. It doesn't change your property values. Those don't go away. It just means that that millage is there and you'll get some of that money back, but the house is still going to be worth the same. This, in my opinion, is a very simplistic and cheap way for the state house to say they're helping with property taxes, because it really won't. Because again, one of the things that impact property taxes very simply are your school district. And if your school district continues to struggle financially, then that means they're going to have to make cuts, which means student enrollment and student achievement is impacted, and so on and so on and so on. As far as the city is concerned, $880,000 is not a lot. A lot of other communities around us will lose significantly more, but it will impact us because that's basically out of a $33 million budget. Again, it's almost $1 million out of that. So when we start thinking about what we're doing for next year, does that mean that I have to cut staffing? Does that mean that we have to reduce our police force? Does that mean any number of particular options that are there? And again, it won't solve the problem because it's not really going to be a huge impact or cost savings on it, because that's just the way the numbers work out. So if you're interested in more of that, I would highly advise you keep an eye on what's going on at the State House. Talk to your state senator and state representative in Reynoldsburg, whichever county line you may be on, because it will impact things. And that also goes with the property tax statement that is going to kind of like get rid of all property taxes, which at that point, I really don't know how anyone survives. I don't know how the schools will most assuredly not survive. Fire departments will be devastated. City municipalities, even though most of our funding comes from income tax, that will still impact us as well. And again, they all sound really good, but other taxes would have to come in their place, whether it's a state sales tax, which is a whole regressive thing that doesn't really impact the wealthy as much as it impacts the poor, and all of those things, which I know is a philosophical discussion that I'd love to have with other people, and it's not on the show. But those are a lot of issues that are facing us, and those are real issues. And because of issues like this, last night at the Reynoldsburg City School Board meeting, they had determined that they will not be moving forward with a levy in November because of all the uncertainty. They don't know what the state is going to do with school funding. They don't know about this House Bill 335. And so those are the concerns. So let's just say that with the school funding that is out there, they know that it's probably not going to get much better than what it's at. But if all of a sudden, if they put out a levy just to make up and get back to where they were last year with staffing, and then all of a sudden this House Bill 335 gets pulled into it, now all of a sudden, even if they were to pass a levy of it, it's still not going to make up the complete amount of money with it. So they're going to push pause on that and try and figure out some things. So I know that's a lot of information, a lot of politics in a show that normally I try not to get too much into it outside of the impact, but I do think that people need to be aware of it, because while it sounds really good, the impact moving forward beyond that can be devastating to our communities. Any comments, questions on this part so far?
Not that.
Okay, something else for later on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, then we'll go ahead and move on. Other information from the school district, Reynoldsburg Raider High School and Junior High School Summer Softball Camp begins the week of July 7th and 14th. So contact Coach John Baltzer at 614-989-6039 if you're interested. And next Monday at 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Blacklick Metro Park, Raiders cross-country team will start their practice, and go ahead and check that out. If you haven't seen it yet, please take a look for it. It is the Communication Survey. This is always a fun one because we want to find out what is it that we can do to provide more information to people. We did have one person that said no more communication. They don't want to hear from us in any way. And it wasn't just my show, but it was in general. But it was interesting to see what people wanted to know about. Obviously, things that are about development, things about road construction, things like that. We are considering instituting a text message system that you would have to opt in if you want to find out about some of those different types of things. But one interesting one that I saw is people want to know more about crime and like what's going on with crime. And I guess my question to you would be, what exactly you're referring to? Like, obviously, if there's a situation that occurs where there's a life safety issue of an immediate nature, then obviously everything is going to be told. We're going to put it out on all social media, the television networks, all of that type of stuff. But if this is more of a, hey, I saw 4 squad cars flying down Lancaster and I want to know what's going on, that's a different thing. I don't know if we have the capacity to report on that on a consistent basis outside of some other ways of getting that information out there. We can do something that is more of a weekly issue, and I can tell you what most of those issues are. Again, sometimes it's petty theft, sometimes it's shoplifting. Those are the most common things that we see here. And then we also see domestic violence issues, which I'm uncomfortable identifying domestic violence issues because of the nature of what's going on. And in all cases, most of this stuff is an open investigation until it's no longer an open investigation. So I'm kind of limited in what we can say. But if you're in the chat and that is somebody and that was something you're interested in, put something in there about like what specifically are you looking for and things like that about what you would want to be notified for. So one other way that was interesting that people might not be as well aware of is the walk and talk with the mayor. We did something different this last week. We actually put a message board out there that said, hey, this is what's going on and this is the time. And so we had a really good turnout. This was over off Quarry Park Drive, off Priestley, and we had a turnout probably anywhere from 15 to 20 people. There were a few people that kind of popped in and popped out. Great questions, tough questions, but really good questions. Like, why can't we have our own bridge park? Or what about this road construction project? Or what about, and all of these other different things around there. And it was a casual conversation. We did a walk and I picked up some litter all the way throughout. But it was good to hear what people were asking, and then it was good for them to hear the responses with it. So that is something that is an opportunity. We have another one coming up on July 17th, and we'll go ahead and show you the incredibly technical thing. Now, in theory, I'm going to start kind of at that intersection, but what will most likely happen is we're going to put the message board out again. And so once that message board is placed in a safe area, I'll probably just meet you at the message board just to be on the safe side. But we're going to try and get that message board as close to that location. But that's on July 17th. You do not have to live in that particular part of Reynoldsburg to attend or walk with me or whatever the case may be. You can join at any point in time that you want to. So go ahead and take a look at that. It's a lot of fun all the way throughout. Summer reading programs. We have the Reynoldsburg Library has got some cool programs. This is really more just for picture's sake. Basically, it kicked off on May 31st. It runs through the end of July. If you read 15 minutes a day, you can earn prizes. And reading means actual books or magazines or comic books or anything else like that. It does not mean reading on social media. I checked. So check that out. And if you want to get a participation and enter some prizes, it's always a good thing all the way across. So as far as Wagner Road update, again, it's the same thing. We're moving along. They are trying to put in the stormwater on the west side or on the left side of the road. Once they get all the way to the end by Priestley, then they're going to flip over to the other side and do some of the connections, and the road will kind of change a little bit in that regard. But you'll start seeing the box out for the curb lines in the not too distant future. I drove it yesterday, and if you're driving, you can actually see where some of the drainage curb things will be. So you can actually see it right now, how much wider, at least on the left side of when you're driving, will be. So that's something to take a look at. Taylor Road is moving along just as expected. They're probably, like I said, probably the end of this month, they'll make the turn and be headed up towards Summit Road. So not too much longer in that area. The street alley work, we're going to have our pre-construction meeting next week, and then probably within the next 10 days after that, probably after the 4th of July is when you'll see the alleyway work. This is over in the French Run area. So if you live in that area and you have some alleyways, those are going to get taken care of. And going to council on Monday night is a small miniature program to hit some places out in the Licking County area. Taylor Woods Place Court off Kingsley, Commerce Court, Huggins Lane, Peak Court, and McCarrick Court are going to be there, and we are in the process of making a major plan for next year as the Wagner Road Phase 1 kind of winds down. We're going to have a little bit more funding available to do some other major roadway work, and we do have a lot of those things out there. So you're more than happy to tell me which roads that you would like to be seen, but most of you have already done so, and with our paving thing, we have a pretty good idea of what the actual worst streets are in Reynoldsburg. Believe it or not, there's some good streets here. Any questions, comments so far?
We do. We have 3 questions. What is the status of the review regarding allowing chicken ownership in the city?
That's a great question. I believe the council is going to have that on the agenda on Monday night to further the discussion.
What do you recommend for seniors who are losing their homes due to property taxes?
I recommend you talk to your state representatives and state senators. They're the ones that are in charge of the state property tax rules. I do know that bills had been submitted but never got out of committee that would actually freeze and exempt seniors' property taxes from going up based on where they're at right now. But it never got a committee hearing, and I realize I'm getting into like how a bill becomes a law from back in the old cartoon days. But those are the people that have the choices with it. The state of Ohio, long before any of us were around, dedicated that property taxes are what's going to pay for school districts. And there's a warning there, so it's a test, we'll hope. But those are the things going on with that. So that's a good question, but that's one of it. I know that's kind of a simplistic response, but the reality is that is not, unfortunately, a city thing that we can and cannot do. We cannot exempt, we cannot improve or lower or raise any of that stuff. But what we can do is advocate, as I have done. I spoke at the State House just a couple of weeks ago about that issue. We shouldn't be putting our seniors in a position to lose their homes, and we shouldn't be forcing people to choose between seniors or students. Seniors have given and gotten their right to live in their homes, and they should be taken care of, but we also have to remember that we do have to educate our students, but there has to be some kind of a balance with it, and I really wish the State House would pay attention to it, because right now they are not doing so. They are more concerned with other priorities because of the fact that they aren't hearing as much from residents about this issue.
Next question. How are things coming along for the dog park? Will there be a way to submit opinions about the design? Go Down, I believe it's Go Down Dog Park has a great design.
Yeah. So the goal is, because obviously funding is the number one thing that we have to do, because I don't want to come to the taxpayers for a levy for Civic Park. But some of the things that we're working on is the townhomes on Rose Hill and the townhomes on Wagner Road. The property taxes from those are actually going to be in dedicated funds specifically for Civic Park, and we're also looking at another couple of funding mechanisms. Our goal is to start phase 1 work next year, and we'll bring back a kind of a public meeting to talk about it. The park, the way it was designed right now, is kind of a 2-style park where it's a relatively large area, but there's a dog park for smaller dogs and a dog park for bigger dogs, and there's some water and some obstacles and things all the way throughout. But definitely we'll have some public meetings either here at City Hall or on site at Civic before we get into any final determination of all of that stuff.
Okay,
that's a good question.
That's it for right now.
All right, Summit Road, because everybody loves road construction, we are working on plans for Summit Road. There will be a public meeting on June 25th here at City Hall at 6:30. Again, primarily for the residents around Summit Road that may be impacted, but it could be for anybody. The very quick version is a traffic light at Summit and Main Street and 3 lanes between Main Street and the elementary school. Everything else after that is going to be is going to get some good public feedback from the residents of that area. So is it going to be a multi-purpose path on one side, sidewalk on the other? Is it just going to be a multi-purpose path? Those are things we're going to work with the residents in that area, and we're going to get some good feedback at that meeting. Anything else? No? All right. Parks programs, Tipsy Tie-Dye, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 21 and over at Eastside Brewery on June 29th. It's going to be from 2 to 3:30, and I think June 29th, I'm hoping, is a Saturday or a Sunday at least, but if not, hey, day drinking is a thing too. But you have the opportunity for the Tipsy Tie-Dye and enjoy that one. As far as sports are concerned, fall registration is underway. Specifically, the big one is going to be soccer. And if you have the opportunity to drive in the area of Bryce Park, you're going to start seeing a lot of movement over the next couple of weeks. They've gotten the overlook done in the backside of it, and now most of the work is going to be moving up front. So hopefully around the time of the Tomato Festival, that particular project will be done. And then we have some cool things going on now. The city is closed tomorrow. It is Juneteenth, a holiday celebrating basically the end of slavery officially for the southern states and northern states. So we had a great Juneteenth event this past weekend, but we're closed at the city tomorrow. But we're not closing the market off Main, because nothing can stop the market off Main, especially now that fingers crossed. We're going to have produce at this particular market. So this will be the first one until they don't show up, but we're hoping that they'll be here. Zucchini, cucumber, tomatoes, onion, lettuce, and a whole bunch of other things, some homegrown herbs and popcorn and some other cool stuff there. But if none of those vegetables matter to you, at least come for the grilled cheese gangsters because their tots are amazing. So go ahead and check those out, as well as a lot of the other vendors. So they'll be there. So keep that in mind. Friday night, June 20th at dusk is going to be the Dumb and Dumber movie night at Eastside Brewery, which is always going to be fun. Again, tux optional. You don't have to, but I'm betting if you walked in with a powder blue tux or a nice orange tuxedo, you will be the hit of everything. So keep that in mind. Sunday night is going to be a great concert at the lawn at the Livingston House with Stranger 80. What are they playing again, Jennifer? I forgot.
80s music.
80s music. How about that? And then the food truck will be Little Italy, which is a lot of, it's a good pizza by the slice and otherwise, so that's a good thing that we're looking forward to. We also have on June 28th, the Reynoldsburg Community Baby Shower for parents and parents-to-be from the ages of 0 to 5 years old. That'll be, again, June 28th from 12 to 2 at the Postal Workers Union Hall, so check that out. There is still time to sign up if you want to be in the parade, if you want to have your company or organization represented. Just reach out to the Community Association. They'll have all that information there. Any questions or comments before we kind of wrap up everything? All right, so Celebrate USA 250. We're so advanced, we've already figured out what we're doing for the parade next year. Not really sure what we're doing this year, but next year we're really good for America's birthday for the USA turning 250 years old. So we're looking forward to that. Beyond that, that's all we got. Got a lot of big things coming up again. Please, if you have the day off tomorrow, make sure you take a moment to understand why the day off is important and what it represents. For everybody else, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Next week, we are back, and hopefully with a guest, Danny O'Connor, the Franklin County Recorder. He's been on here a couple of times to talk about what the Recorder's Office does, and believe it or not, it is more interesting than what you realize. But he's going to be here, and we're going to have him on the show. But for everybody else, stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, please put your shopping carts away, even if they have chickens in them. Make sure you do so. Have a great time, everybody. We'll see you.